Hello, everyone, and welcome in back again. Number two Ginger here with Chapania Fan. The iconic duo is here for Virtue Gaming Grit's Week 1 match in Runeterra Academy Junior versus Dingalings. Chapania Fan, how are you doing? It is so great to be back with you.
I'm doing pretty okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was doing a lot better before I saw the enemy team names and how hard they are to pronounce. That being said, I'm not doing play-by-play, so it's not my problem.
All right, fair enough. That's fair enough for you. For all of our returning viewers, welcome back. Virtual Gaming Grit coming off a disappointing season in the fall in Phoenix Rising League. They have completely revamped their roster this year as they are moving up into a low diamond league in Runeterra Academy Junior. Their only returning member is their captain VG Izzo. So we have a whole new lineup for you, starting from top to bot. Trapani Fan, break down their roster.
Of course, of course, of course. So, as you noted, we're going to start from the jungle. Izzo, the only returning player, mostly prefers to play a ganking style of jungling. He really likes the J4. I'm going to be honest with you. It's the only champion I remember off the top of my head. In the top side, they have Terra. Terra's a bit of a jack of all trades, but really enjoys playing those team-centric picks in the top lane, the tanks like the Gragas and the Ornn. But he does have some pocket picks, I'm sure he can play most of the meta top laners too. Their new mid laner Falson is primarily a control mage player, as we can see in the pick and ban. A pretty big Anivia player. It's being taken out by Dingalings, and their new support, just Joshin, seems to be mainly an enchanter player with a bit of a hankering for some Leona every now and again. And their 80 carry Snowfall, he's an 80 carry player. They all right click people. That's not important, but I'm sure he does just a fine job at it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how they want to play. This roster's been together for maybe a month or so now, so they've had a good amount of time to get some scrims in, get some practices going, and figure out what works for them on as a team and getting their new identity. Izzo, a great captain that was able to lead the team in the fall, hoping to transition that into some more leadership ability and bring this team up into a high standard. This is, for Izzo specifically, this is a bit of a higher league for himself, so I'm excited to see how he can do and if he can, hang around with the rest of his teammates. But draft is underway, as you can see, ban coming off the board as we are on 12.3, new patch, new champions. Zeri is not enabled this week in Runeterra Academy. She will be enabled next week, so no worries about that. But we have the new Ahri enabled. I'm sure there's a million other OP champions that are enabled as usual. First pick, Lee Sin for Virtue Gaming Grit, getting things going right away.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm too surprised. We do see a lot of Lee Sin priority around the world, and along with that Xin Zhao, and we noticed the Hecarim ban coming out from Dingalings, obviously a very strong pick, mainly a solo queue pick. You don't see it a ton in competitive, but we see Dingalings answering the Lee Sin with the Trundle. It is overall not a bad matchup, but I personally don't believe that Trundle is a super good pick in the Lee Sin. It does have the pretty obvious 1v1, as the Trundle does. He's just a gigantic stat stick. But Lee Sin has the ability to finesse the Trundle and the rest of the enemy team. So we'll see how that goes. Dingalings going for the Red 2 Leona. Pretty standard. Leona's been broken for like 4 years. But showing your support pick that early does open it up to some counter picks. So let's see if VG Grit is going to pull out anything special into that Leona pick.
Yeah, Dingaling's putting a lot of pride on that Leona there. I think it's a very powerful pick, clearly. Thresh was not any of the bans, so I'd be interested to see if VG decides to go with the Thresh here. And there it is, getting that pick locked in and hovered. Potential Aphelios angle here. You have two melees running straight into you. You have Thresh for the perfect pairing. I think that would be a really good pick for VG here. We'll see if Snowfall wants to go with that, or maybe they want to take a power pick mid. Corki is open. Victor is open. There's a bunch of different ways you can go, and I think that's one of the most exciting parts of draft right now is since mid lane is all control mages, you don't have to save last pick for that, and you're able to blind a lot of strong picks and flex your draft a bit more. But Aphelios is going to be the hover and the lock-in. Personally, I think it's a pretty strong pick here, and we'll have to see what Dingalings responds.
On top of this being just a pretty solid Aphelios game, yeah, he does have a bit of trouble because of Trundle Pillar. Trundle Pillar is really broken, and obviously going to have to put on his fancy feet, dodge the Leona Solar Flares. But they are both melee champions running into an Aphelios if the Solar Flare does not land. Definitely doesn't sound fun. And when you look at the 80 carries on this patch, we see all three of them present here. Jinx was the first red band for Dingalings, I think when Jinx is off the table, your best bet for a hyper carry is Aphelios, obviously paired well with Thresh to make him pretty safe. And so I believe Dingalings make the smart pick here and pick up the Jhin, enables Leona to roam and play weak side. He's going to be able to hit these long range snares, try to look for picks on the side of VG Grit. So I like the pick a lot. I do think that if the Jhin was not picked here, the 80 carry pool, assuming the Jhin gets banned by VG Grit, would have gone really, really, really down bad. So
yeah, with Jinx already off the table and Zeri disabled, it definitely gets a bit rough, especially with Caitlyn getting some nerfs this patch. So, I think that these two drafts so far are as, basic and straight up as you can get. Pretty standard power picks. Nothing crazy happening. Dingalings got their choice in the jungle as a counter, and Grit got their choice in the support as a counter pick. So nothing exciting, nothing really too spicy so far. It is week 1 of Runeterra Academy Junior. It is game 1, so I think both teams just want to put their best foot forward and try their best. There is 32 teams in Runeterra Academy Junior. This split a massive amount of teams, so you really gotta fight hard. There's four groups of 8 teams. Top 4 from each group moves into a 16-team playoff. So it's pretty competitive. You have to win the majority of your games to get in that top 4. It's not like a simple cutoff where maybe 2 teams get cut. So both teams really are going to have to get their best foot out of the gate right away. Bans coming through. Both teams focusing onto that top lane. Camille, Gwen, Gragas, and Set. We'll see what Dingalings decide to take care of R4.
Yeah, I think the Gwen ban specifically from Grit makes sense, with Dingalings having the first pick of the second phase of the draft. Gwen is super strong as...
Ooh. Trundle top?
Okay, so this is a bit interesting, and I'm going to be honest, I don't like it all that much anymore, because Lee Sin now has a decent chunk of pressure on the Viego, and the Trundle could pretty easily be counterpicked here by something like an action, maybe, for Terra in the top lane.
What does Terra have in his pool, though?
I mean, that's a fair point.
This might be like the Giga Scouting from Dingalings. They think Terra doesn't have a pick in the Trundle.
Alright, hear me out. Smite Janna top.
Oh,
nope.
That's not the pick.
Okay. Malphite was infinitely worse. Shen, still bad, obviously. The Trundle's going to have an easy time into that matchup. He does not give a care in the world about beating up on tanks. But with the Shen dodge field, it will at least give him some pressure and potential peel from the Trundle later on into the game for his Aphelios. But this basically cements Terra onto the weak side top lane, and we see the blind pick Veigar coming out for Virtue Gaming Grit. Obviously, they did have to blind pick, but I'm very surprised that was not something like the Ahri. That being said, Veigar pretty strong after his most recent buffs, and also has a pretty good matchup into the Ahri, so I'd be surprised if Dingalings were to take the Ahri here. But there's still Victor, which is, okay, always going to have a rough time whenever you're an immobile mage just getting baby caged. But later on, as the game goes, Victor should just be chilling, but ooh.
Wow.
Okay.
I think that's not the pick. I'm pretty sure it just Corki there outranged the Veigar.
Yeah, so like the 3 main picks, Corki, Victor, and Ahri, were all still left up, but instead we see the Kassadin. Now Kassadin is obviously a fine matchup into the Veigar, but it's not as good as you think. Letting Veigar kind of walk away for free as well, just like Kassadin would really like to. Veigar's going to get a lot of free AP stacking. It's going to be pretty uncontested in terms of the early lane, and even then, once Kassadin gets 6, he doesn't have a ton of pressure because that Rift Walk is on a fairly long cooldown. I believe it's 6 or so seconds at rank 1. So Kassadin, he's going to have a hard time pressuring the Veigar off the CS, and so with Veigar getting that free lane, he's going to become really, really, really scary. But what this means for Dingalings is that you really don't want to play towards the Jhin. You would ideally want to leave Jhin on an island. You can't play for a Kassadin. He's going to be under his turret all game, even against a Veigar. Which means that they're going to be having to move into this top side, again, into the Shen. And with so much of their damage being auto-attack based and AD based, Shen is going to be able to pick up those plated steel caps as well as utilize his W to probably dodge a lot of these ganks as Leona's walking up too. So I think this Kassadin pick is a pretty big blunder for Dingalings because it doesn't allow them to really play for anywhere, get this Viego rolling, and get these resets. Additionally, the Kassadin isn't really going to come online until level 11 at the earliest, assuming he's able to stack up his Ultimate Hunter stacks. But meanwhile, On the side of Virtue Gaming Grit, Lee Sin does have an okayish matchup in the Viego. It should be decently skill-based. But this Aphelios is going to feel really safe with a Thresh on top of him. I assume he's also going to take Cleanse in this game against the Jhin Leona. And the Shen ulti coming on top of him, and the Veigar cage to stop all of the melees just running at the Aphelios. I think Grit's got a pretty solid draft here.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Dingalings really had the draft in their hands until they took that cast in. You have 4 melee champions now into an Aphelios and Veigar who want the melee champions. You want them to come into you. Even Shen is very good in these close range situations where he can get so much value out of his W auto attack block. Thresh also, able to keep these champions safe. I think Dingalings, if they just took some sort of longer range champion that Veigar and Aphelios really can't deal with, and no one can really get on top of from VG, it would have been so difficult for VG to actually play the game. Dingalings, all credit due. I think that Trundle pick was very intentional to be put top, as they might have done some research on Terra and realized he doesn't really have anything in his pool that's going to counter the Trundle, and I think that was proven with the Shen pick. Just immediately accept that you're not going to be able to play for that lane and take a lane that can play with a global presence. And, although Shen can block a lot, it's still going to be something very diveable. Trundle has so much early pressure and damage on that Shen. The ultimate is going to be so impactful. And if Shen, screws up once or twice, this Trundle is going to shred these towers and destroy the top side. But I think I have to agree with you that VG has a solid comp into Dingalings at face value. The main problem is going to be maybe they don't have enough damage sources. It's really all that Aphelios and Veigar. Lee Sin's going to fall off as well. But Dingalings, Trundle's always going to be a high damage threat with good ulti target in Shen. Jhin, Viego, and Kassadin could also output a significant amount of damage. So I don't know. I think the game could go a bit either way, but I think I'll give the advantage over to Grit as well.
I do think an important thing to note is that even Aphelios with his red gun shield, with I assume the Bloodthirst is going to pick up, and with the Shen Stain United on top of him, is that if this Kassadin does get to level 16, the Aphelios is going to have a very, very hard time trying to find a way into these fights. So it is most definitely on Grit to try to end the game as fast as possible, but that looks really, really, really hard to do when your damage core consists of Aphelios and Veigar, who really want to get around to the same point as Kassadin, level 11, maybe 1.5, 2 items before they start entering these fights. So this game could get risky for Virtue Gaming Grit if the Kassadin is able to stick into it until level 11, and then hopefully, again, obviously I want Virtue Gaming to win, but talking about Dingalings, how they get into this game is getting that Kassadin to level 11, ideally without dying, which should be relatively easy, and then start utilizing that to drag the game out longer. And as long as Kassadin's able to hit level 16 and he's able to contest the side lane, Dingalings has a pretty solid shot into this game. And also, it's really only going to take one Viego reset for him to just run over this game. But I still do believe that he's going to have a hard time finding that reset through the likes of the Thresh, the Shen, and the Veigar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting question here, because you feel like that Virtue Gaming Grit's kind of picking the scale and linking with that Aphelios and that Veigar. But at the same time, are you confident they outscale a Kassadin who's just going to walk in circles around the team at 16? All it takes is one reset as well for Viego to become a monster in the late game. So really, I'm looking for Virtue Gaming Grit to kind of alter the game plan and go for more of a mid-game spike. Lee Sin and Shen are going to be absolute menaces in the mid-game. Lee Sin can be everywhere on the map. Shen obviously just wants to move around with that ultimate. So maybe utilize Veigar as more of a utility bot this game rather than going for pure scaling and just guaranteeing those lockdowns at the cages. Might be the play to accelerate the game a bit.
Yeah, and I do think if Veigar is able to get his... Let's say Veigar does get accelerated, if he can get his death cap early, like going something like second item death cap and really leaning into the extra AP he's going to get from farming up his Q, and if Aphelios does get his Bloodthirster at least decently on time, I think they should be stronger, but the main thing for them is they're going to have to utilize this window of where they are stronger and get enough of a lead that, or at least put on enough pressure that the Kassadin is not able to just do whatever he wants and just get his XP. So it's really up to them. Like once they get to this like mid-game spike, they really have to start, putting their foot on the pedal and just trying to move forward and maybe take some fights they don't feel too confident in. As weird as that sounds.
We could talk about in Deercroft this all day, but in the end, it is going to come down to either team to outperform the other in this Runeterra Academy Junior League D4 99 LP cap 1D3 player. We are going to cut to a short intermission while we wait for the spectator delay to kick in. Do not go anywhere with the first match of the season for Virtual Gaming Grit versus Dingalings. We will be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone, into game one of the night. VG Grit versus Dingalings. I am number 2 Ginger, your play-by-play and producer for the night, joined by Chapania Fan, my lovely color caster for the past few months. Chapania Fan, what are we looking at in this early game?
It's really going to be kind of like a 1v1 between the Lee Sin and the Viego. They're going to be fighting to try to put pressure on the map and get their solo lanes ahead, because the team that accelerates this game the fastest is going to be the one that probably wins the game. So we're going to be looking on them, their pathings, and which lanes they're going to be focusing towards to try to get their fellow gamers ahead to carry them through this game. We look at the items and the runes. Everything looks pretty standard. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Both supports have Glacial. I'd say the one thing that I would call a blunder is that Aphelios did not take cleanse this game.
Oh, and to Jin Leona, yeah, that sounds a bit rough, so we'll have to watch Snowfall and see if he's the most confident positioner in the world, or if Joshin could play correctly with the Lancerns to bail him out. But Leona Jin Lockdown is probably about 7 seconds of CD if they properly chain it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we see it's already starting from the moment the game starts. Viego's going to be starting in his top side, pathing down towards his absolute enormous amount of CC in the bot lane, going to be trying to punish Snowfall on the Aphelios with no cleanse.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely going to be up to Snowfall to make sure that he avoids any sort of CC. I think, looking at these teams, I think I can see this game even going into like a 40-plus minute game. It feels like both teams are might get to a point where they're even, and no team wants to force, they just want to scale, and we're just going to sit here and talk into a wall while both teams yell at each other. But hopefully we see something a little bit spicier.
Yeah, hopefully. Probably not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think you're right.
It's low diamond. You're right. You don't know.
Like I think this game's gonna turn into a 40-minute slugfest until Cassidy, wakes up. He's gonna be level 18, 4 items, and then he's just gonna start running over people. but again, hopefully not. VG win, ideally, and they're able, like I said, put on the pressure and mainly, like I said, if I'm Dingalings on this Viego, I'm going to be looking bot lane on the Aphelios and the cleanse. If I'm Izzo on the Lee Sin, I think I'm mainly looking at probably the Kassadin, at least until the early levels, hopefully. Obviously, Kassadin going to have really easy time getting away with ganks with the Rift Walk, but no, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Izzo doesn't really have anywhere to play for either, so maybe he'll just shadow his bot lane, try to get Snowfall away from the Leona, from the Viego, and try to get him keep him in the game. Excuse me.
Yeah, Izzo is pathing towards Terra in that top lane, but Trundle is very, very, very hard to actually kill in a solo lane. It looks like Terra is getting the better of Batmoose Mike right now. You can see in the bottom that he has a significant CS lead. So looking pretty good for Izzo pathing up there and shadowing him. But the threat is definitely going to be in the bot lane. The bot lane is slowly pushing towards Dingalings. So Relativistic is going to have a pretty good angle to gank if VG doesn't properly respect the potential of Viego ganking, or they're not tracking him properly, as Viego is already in this tri-bush looking behind onto just Jousting and Snowfall here. There comes the Zenith Blade, is going to miss on Snowfall, and then the little fog cloud's going to come out, indicating that Viego is bot side, so a failed gank attempt from the side of Dingalings. You feel like there wasn't set up amazingly, but good job from VG.
I think if I'm coding there, I think I'm gonna flash Zenith Blade onto the Aphelios and just try to burn that, going 1-for-1. I assume the Leona has Hex Flash. I actually don't know. But trading your flash for the enemy AD carry flash is almost always going to be worth it, especially as I've touched on 4 times already. The Aphelios with no cleanse, he will be very easy to lock down. Even easier if you're able to get the flash out of him early.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. No cleanse there as Leona. You're just kind of perma flashing. And even burning his flash is super good, because now permanently you ever hit a Zenith Blade and he just can't cleanse out of it. And feels pretty good. So say a bit of a misplay from Love Sorry Coding there. Lee Sin now on the bot side, it looks like. I'm not really sure how he got down here, because he hasn't taken a reset yet, so he must have walked all the way bot side from top lane. But Viego got his reset, so he has a bit of a tempo advantage on Izzo right now. We'll have to see if he's able to take any advantage of that.
Yeah, and the direct camera keeps putting us in this mid lane because the Vigar is auto-attacking the Kassadin a lot. But as you can see with the fleet footwork, and he hasn't even popped a potion yet, but this Vigar doesn't have a ton of pressure onto the Kassadin, but the Kassadin, as he's not 6 yet, does not have a ton of pressure on the Vigar. And so I've seen Vigar hit a couple of stacks already. Homeboy's having a time of his life, just queuing creeps, getting AP. An important thing to note, the Vigar did not start the tier, meaning he's not going to be out on the map as long without that extra mana. The ring does give you some mana regen. Obviously, whenever you kill a creep, you get some flat mana back. But you can see he's using these Ws on the wave, trying to get the creeps into prime Q range. And I mean, that costs a fair amount of mana. And with this no tier start, he's really hurt.
Yeah, Vigar is chilling, getting these stacks, but at the same time, Kassadin is chilling, basically holding the wave in a very ideal position and getting pretty much perfect farm, which is not what you want Kassadin to be doing when you're against him. Izzo hasn't been able to find an angle of pressure yet, but it is the first dragon going down to the side of VG Grit. A nice early pickup from Izzo there, getting that a little early, down a significant amount of farm to Relativistic so far, but that early dragon is hopefully going to help snowball the game a bit. Second dragon is going to be that Ocean Drake, so we'll see if we get any exciting souls. Fortunately, Chemtech's soul, if anyone isn't aware, has been disabled for the time being, so the only real exciting one we have now is Hextech.
Yeah, and a lot of this farm deficit from Izzo is just the pathing that we talked about early on. He pathed towards the top side and then immediately walked all the way bot without taking a reset. Then reset, got his Iron Spike Whip. Still hasn't cleared his Krugs once, I don't believe, and then went immediately back to that dragon. So he does, after a bit of a pathing mistake, I'm not going to say fix it, but makes up for it by getting that early dragon on the side of VG Grit. And one thing we didn't really talk about, but is potentially possible, is that dragon stacking. Obviously, if VG are able to get the rest of the dragons and able to commit that to an early soul, maybe that'll be the pressure they need to try to end this game before casting gets too large.
Yeah, they're just really hoping that it's not a Cloud Soul at this point if they're going to be able to continue to pressure those. That would be a bit depressing, but both mid laners have already burned their TP back into lane. Farm is relatively even. Vigar and Kassadin both picking up a tier. Falson picking up an early Lucidity Boot purchase, be able to move around a bit faster, get more Qs out for more stacks. Seems makes a lot of sense, but he is going to be delayed on that Lost Chapter a bit longer.
It is also important to note that the Lucidity Boots does put your summoner spells on a lower cooldown, so Falson's TP will be back up before the Cassidans. Now it doesn't matter because TP kind of sucks now, but it's something to just keep an eye on. That maybe that extra cooldown reduction on the TP is able to stop his bot lane from eating Dove at some point.
Yeah, important to note already is that Dingalings already have a 600 gold lead just on farm alone. You see Batmoose Mike getting a significant advantage over Terra. Snowfall also falling behind a little bit on CS, and as we said earlier, Izzo is behind in the jungle on Relativistic. So these small deficits, might add up come to the first fight or two if a fight breaks out and a champion has a small item advantage. But Rift Herald going to be started up here. For Dingalings, it looks like they're going to take that down with no contest, so they do trade that first Rift Herald over for that earlier first Dragon, and we'll have to see what Relativistic wants to do with that Herald.
Yeah, if I'm Relativistic, the first place I'm looking at is mid. I'm going to be honest, I don't even care if it doesn't take the full tower. Just go get some plates from my Cassid and get him some money. Obviously, late game hyper carries, they really, really, really need money, and Cassin is the prime candidate as opposed to the Jhin or the Trundle. He also could save that Rift Herald, keep it in his back pocket for a little while, and use the pressure from the Rift Herald to try to contest that second dragon and stop Brit from getting these early dragons still online.
Yep, and starting around like maybe the 12-13 minute mark, we'll try to do some periodic stack checks onto Falson, see if he's keeping pace with stacks. Generally, you want a bit more than 10 a minute. So if it's at 10 minutes, you should be a little bit over 120. You should be closer to 250. So we got to see if he is keeping up pace with that. Granted, these are like challenger level numbers. They're theoretical numbers, so I expect them to be a bit lower. But if he is close to that, that means he's farming very, very well and has a good chance to snowball this game, as the amount of AP he can get is super high, as he gets a nice stun onto the Cassidon there. And that was nearly a kill if he had some more mana to actually pull it out. Izzo fishing here for the kill, gets the flash kick into the Sonic Wave. First blood for Izzo over the wall. The instant reaction time from the Warthog grants VG Grit the first blood of the game.
Yeah, and well played to Izzo, showing the mechanical skill that he has. He may not have hit Diamond, but he's still a Chad in my heart. Crepe Score appeared to be doing a little bit of window shopping as that ward was placed there. You should never be window shopping so close to the enemies. Obviously you didn't know where Lee Sin was, but still, quick tip: you want to die less when you're recalling. Don't open up your shop. But well played to Izzo. You're able to get the first blood and keep that Cassidon down a bit. Doesn't have teleport to get back to lane, so he did lose a fair bit of CS. Also grants Falson that free recall, and as you see, he's now got about a 3-wave CS lead on his Cassidon.
Yeah, small upside for that for Dingalings is that Viego was able to pick up that wave crashing, so he's going to have a nice XP lead over Izzo, along with that already ballooning 20 CS lead in the jungle. So not all is lost, but it is a huge blow for Crepe Score on that Cassidon. He is going to be behind a bit on tempo. Lost Chapter already picked up for Falson, so he is feeling pretty good with that blue buff in hand. He might start looking for lethal on Crepe Score, as Crepe Score, as the Cassidon, is able to trade aggressive like that. Fight coming out in the bot lane as Relativistic is able to find Izzo. Solar Flare coming down to just Joshing, but Zenith Blade was missed over the wall, so Joshing is able to step up a little bit for Relativistic with the stun ultimate coming out from Snowfall. There comes the stun into the ultimate. Here comes Batmoose Mike out of nowhere for the fight. Terra is down here as well with the stun. There goes Relativistic looking for the reset. He gets one. This is looking like a really good fight for Dingalings. Flashes are coming out from VG to retreat one more time. Worcestershire coming there to finish on Snowfall. Flash forward with the 4-shot is going to take down Snowfall. Terra gets hit by the Zenith Blade into so many stuns. Terra is able to dash away. Gets hit by the 4-shot from Worcestershire off of a great pillar from Batmoose Mike to clean up the fight. 4 kills going over to the side of Dingalings.
Yeah, and you hate to see that. Important thing to note is the Rift Herald was dropped at some point in that fight. I didn't see exactly where it was. I believe it's got its charge off bottom lane, based on the fact that it is missing 2 plates. But that's a 4-0 to the side of Dingalings, which is definitely not what you want to see. Now,
here comes Worcestershire onto the mid lane, but Izzo and Joshing are there to support out Falson, as Crepe Score might have been looking for an aggro play, but Falson will walk that one out.
Yeah, and a good thing, like I said, the mid laners, they were just chilling mid. They didn't care about that fight. True Chad mid laners. Obviously, bad thing. Like I said, 4 kills going over to the side of Dingalings isn't good. The Viego getting accelerated, the Jhin getting accelerated. These champions going to have a pretty easy time trying to push the tempo forward for Dingalings now, which really means this game seems to be all on Falson at this point. If he's able to hit the cages and stop the melees from moving forward onto his Aphelios, but you can never count an Aphelios out. 200 years the champion. VG Grid definitely aren't out yet, but it's definitely looking grim. Also, Dingling's picking up the dragon, so that means no early soul for VG Grid. What is the soul? Soul is Hextech.
It's Hextech. So, if it's invisible, it's always Hextech. It's still broken.
Yeah. So that soul would have been nice for VG to get early on, but with the dragon going over to Dinglings, that is not going to happen, and that buys Cassid a bit more time to try to scale into that absolute menace of a level 16 Cassid.
Yeah, I mean, quick item check across the board. We see 3 mythics already picked up from Dingalings. Trundle on that Divine Sunderer. Viego going for the damage build this game. Has the Immortal Shield Bow in inventory, so no Sunderer angle this game. And down in the bot lane, Worcestershire having that Gale Force completed already. Huge spikes across Dingalings right now, whereas VG really doesn't have anything. They have Everfrost on Falson, but it's not going to mean too much as that Viger still needs a lot of time to scale. So Dingalings is in the driver's seat right now. They can do pretty much whatever they please and however they want to control the map. So up to them to figure out what to do. Another big indicator is Relativistic already at 18 vision score this game, making really big use as a fight is coming down bot lane. There comes the route onto Worcestershire, but it looks like they're trying to turn this one around. Not going to go too well for them. As long story, Coding gets a huge solar flare to potentially survive. There comes the flash kick from Izzo. A nice play to get Worcestershire, who got a little bit too cocky there with his stepping up, and Snowfall nearly went down in trade, but that's a huge kill over to the side of VG.
Yeah, and well played to Izzo, showing his mastery of this Lee Sin pick. Obviously, like I said, he's the one who has to get things going for VG this game, and he's been doing a pretty okay job for it. There was just that really, really, really bad dragon fight, obviously, but well played. They do get a shutdown on the Jhin. It does go over to Izzo, which is a bit of a negative. You really would have liked that on your Aphelios, but again, buys him some time. Aphelios is now walking back out onto the map. He has picked up his Gale Force. I assume that Izzo, with the 2 kills in his back pocket, is going to have enough for that Gourd Drinker the next time he gets his base off.
Oh, here comes an all-in top side. His Batmove's back actually ulted Terror, and we do see Relativistic hovering in this area. Now, it wasn't indicated in the game. I think it's bugged, but they did pick up that Rift-Tail top side right after that play bot. So now Terra is in an awkward 1v2 situation as Rift-Tail crashes. We'll see if Dingling's decides to go for that. It looks like they are. Misses the taunt onto Batmove's Mike. Ultimate comes down for Relativistic, looking for the finish, but Terra's able to block so much damage. Here comes Batmove's Mike into the fray. Terra looking to do anything, gets the shield. Batmove's Mike taking up the tower is going to go down as the tower actually went down. So a very long dive is going to end up working out for Dingalings, along with first tower over to the side of Dingalings.
Yeah, very long dive, but sadly no TP on the Vigar. Izzo nowhere in sight, just Josh and chilling bot lane under the enemy turret with Snowfall. So Terra was definitely on his own. To his credit, he survived a lot longer than he thought he should, or that I thought he should have.
Izzo, hello? Take the portal? Is he out? No, he's going to walk forward. Crepe Score going forward there. He gets the Everfrost. Crepe Score does not get stunned out from Falson. Barely misses, but gets blown up. Here comes Terra as well. Love Story Coding is in a 1v3 situation. The kill is wisely given over to Snowfall. Unfortunately, Izzo is going to go down to Worcestershire, but he is going to get immediately traded over. Double kill over to Snowfall. A beautiful play from Izzo and Terra porting in to secure the kills.
Yeah, and right back, I kind of thought Izzo was going to maybe fight the Cassid as opposed to just trying to Metal Gear Solid his way past.
Oh,
but yeah, we can see that Vigard damage definitely starting to ramp up. Maybe we should do a quick little stack check.
We'll do a stack check on to Falson. 202 stacks at 16 minutes. That is proper pace. That's looking pretty good.
He greets for the cannon and he gets it. What a legend! Absolute. I'm not going to call him a Vigard Lord yet. If he finishes this tier, I'm going to have some choice words for him. But I mean, like I said, he's vibing, he's farming, he's hitting creeps.
353 AP as well.
Yep, but it's important to note that as much as Vigar's vibing, Cassin also, he's not vibing as well, obviously, but he's been vibing this game.
He's level 11. He's looking to go.
Yeah, he hasn't had a ton of pressure on him, but we see Falson back on the map with that teleport.
Just Joshing getting the hook on Lovestar Coding. Lovestar Coding is stuck between that cage. Cripscore also was caught there, but he is casting. He's chilling. Lovestar Coding pops the stopwatch here. Is going to go down to false, and this Vigar getting so massive. Dragon was picked up by VG in time before this fight broke out. Batmoose Mike now stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Cripscore on the flank, but is he strong enough to actually make a play here? Batmoose Mike has to flash out. He was able to survive all that damage. Awkward kick from Izzo there. He wasn't able to get the ward hop, but a huge cage from Falston to get the shutdown onto Relativistic. Batmoose Mike also going to go down. Flash taunt from Terra to secure the kill onto Cripscore, and that's a 4-0 for the sides of VG Grit. A huge fight to swing the game.
That's back-to-back really good fights.
Stuffall flashes forward for the root onto Worcestershire. Flash coming out from Worcestershire, try to survive, but it's not going to matter. The kill is gifted over to Snowfall. Good guy Izzo to stop taking all the kills, and it's a complete 5-for-0 ace. Plus mid tower.
Yeah. Two really good fights for VG back-to-back. That's what we're talking about there. Not out of it. The Cassin at this point, not vibing. He is not passing the vibe check. Meanwhile, Vigar, he's straight chill. He's got a 2-level lead now. He's probably got enough for his second Needless. I doubt he has enough for the Death Cap. But this is exactly what we were talking about. We had these 4 melees plus a Jhin just trying to walk into a Vigar, trying to walk into an Aphelios. And Aphelios that whiffed his ult, mind you, because he greeted and tried to kill the Leona in her stopwatch. But these melee champions just walking at the Vigar, at the Aphelios, are going to have such a hard time. And the longer this game goes, and now with how accelerated... Oh, he does have enough for the Death Cap. What a legend.
Holy moly. 19-minute Death Cap and Everfrost on Vigar. Let's do another AP check just to see how much that beefed him up there. He is at 655 AP, 260 stacks before 20 minutes in the game.
But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. VG now have all of the tools with their 2-item Vigar to really try to accelerate this game before Cassidon gets to that menace territory. We do also see Snowfall going for the Bloodthirster second, pretty standard. There are some tanky boys in the side of Dingalings with the Trundle with the Leona that he is going to have to kill, and it might take him a year and a half. But I do think him being able to live the Cassidon with the Bloodthirster, the Red Gun Shield, and the Incinerator from the Shen is probably going to be more important in the long run. But so let's see how VG Grit decide to try to accelerate this game. We do have Baron spawning. We are hitting the 20-minute mark, and there's still that top T1 up for VG Grit, so there's a bit of standing O left on the map still.
They still have Dragon. You know, if they do Dragon on spawn in 220, with the pace that Caston's at, they can get solo before Caston hits 16, and I think that's so crucial. You know, Falston's already level 14 to Crepe score is 12. You know, if that was the opposite, it would be a different story. Izzo's getting caught out here a bit. Is able to ward hop to the Lantern, then take that out. Burn the TP out from Crepe Score as well, so nice pickup there. But as I was saying, Dragon is a nice win con for VG here as they're able to turn the game on to its head.
I do think Falston, he does need to be a little bit careful, though. The only thing stopping this Trundle from running him down is that baby cage, and he is kind of using it all willy-nilly. Maybe getting a bit too hyphy. He does have a bounty. He just needs to try to protect that bounty.
Terra misses the taunt onto Crepe Score, but here comes a fight coming out mid. As Snowfall is taking this fight with no cleanse, he is very confident. Hook is going to come down onto the cannon minion. Locket comes out actually to save Snowfall's life, I believe, from maybe one tick of Ignite, but very close play, and that's the price of not having cleanse.
Yeah, Cleanse would have made that a lot less scary. Does get out with his life. Again, he has a bounty too. The 2 carries on VG do need to try to protect these bounties and not give them over to the Cassidon. But yeah, like you said, if they do get this next dragon, they will be able to get the Dragon Soul before Cassidon hits level 16, which would be very big. Also, Cassidon is having a bit of a rough time. But one thing that we haven't touched on yet, as I didn't think it was going to be at 20 minutes that we had to start asking these questions, but what other items is Vigar going to build? Is he going to go for more AP, maybe a Void Staff?
Well, okay. So this is, it has to be it has to be Anathemas, right?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going. He might have to potentially pick up the Void Staff, but I do think this Vigar's next item does need to be the Anathemas change. Throw that on the Cassidon. He's not doing anything new anymore.
Well, he is sitting on 1,300 gold, so he could also potentially just finish his tier item and take the extra tankiness stats out of that. It's a cheap route to go if he wants to finish an item very ASAP, but Snowfall is getting a bit collapsed on here as Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. Both teams pondering towards it. There goes Love Coding getting caught out by False Nears. False going to pop the ultimate. No, he's just going to wait for his cube. That's a flash coming out from Love Coding. I wonder if that is worth for False to hold his ultimate there. But now he's getting collapsed on by Batmoose Mike, eating out Just Joshing. Terra has to waste his ultimate on that. There goes Just Joshing, but a huge Moonlight Vigil coming out from Snowfall to wipe the entirety of Dingalings, and now they're on the run here. Creep Score is gonna go down to Falsen. Relativistic is going to dodge it. VG is flashing the wrong way. No. That is not where you want to go, buddy. Worcestershire there to punch VG Izzo away, and Relativistic is probably laughing in comms about that one. A bit awkward, but that is a huge team fight win for Virtue Gaming with Dragon as the reward.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, if Dingalings do take the L in this game, and it's looking like they might, Relativistic, he got a funny clip out of it, so that's a W in my book. But touching onto the Vygar itemization, I do believe the ultimately correct build path this game is going to be the chains onto the Kassadin into potentially the Gargoyle's Stone Plate, just trying to keep him alive, survive the burst, and keep putting out those baby cages for all those melees, so Phelios just kind of gets to whack.
Cage gonna miss on Batman Smite there, but I think what we were talking about in Champ Select is, you have Vygar into 4 melees. It's kind of showing here. This Cage on such a low CD with these Lucidity boots, a lot of Vigars are going to go into the Sorks, but Lucidity boots here into 4 melees is just feeling so nice. This Cage on such a low cooldown, and there's just nowhere for these melees to go. If Vygar's ever in the area, they just step into a Cage, and with 4, 0, and 7, 650 gold bounty, I don't think anyone on Dingalings can survive a one-shot at this point.
Ooh. Hate to see it. So the Vygar ends up picking up the Fimbulwinter.
Wow.
Which...
interesting, actually.
I mean, so he does get to use it. Obviously, the Everfrost and the Baby Cage are going to give him those shields when he immobilizes somebody. But a lot of the time... I guess you could argue in a hectic team fight, Cage is definitely going to hit probably one person. But most of the time, you're not looking to try to hit the stun. You're just mostly trying to put him in the cage so that Aphelios gets to hit him. And obviously, you should be trying to hit the stun. But the more important part is making sure just the cage placement is solid enough so that it affects as many people as possible. So I do think this is a bit of a mistake. I do think just getting the Anathema Chains, putting it on the Kassadin, who's really the only person that's going to threaten you in terms of from a damage standpoint, it basically makes him unkillable against the Kassadin. Also, Kassadin, he's not going to get stunned up by the Cage. He's really only ever going to get stunned up by the Everfrost. So,
yeah, I mean,
your reliance on getting the shield from the Fimbulwinter is on a 40-second cooldown against the Kassadin.
I mean, the logic might be that he wants to finish the item. He had the perfect amount of gold, and Kassadin, isn't really going to be a threat for a little bit. He's level 14 right now. He's not going to get 2 levels in time for this Dragon Soul Point, and you just wants to be as strong as possible for the next fight. I agree with you, but I can also understand thinking of I'm glad he just got a tanky item regardless, right? It's better for him to get any sort of tanky item than just go straight Void Staff when he already can one-shot literally everyone. So even there, he might have been able to one-shot Batmoose Mike if he really wanted to, but VG, complete control of the map right now, completely in the top side. Crepe Score, is going to go take that tower for himself and get as much gold as he can, but name of the game is that Dragon spawning in 2 minutes.
I think it is also important to note that the Kassadin didn't go for a very damage-oriented route as he decided to finish the Archangel Staff, which is pretty standard, obviously. Also picked up the Everfrost, which is, again, fairly standard. However, I think that maybe with the front-loaded damage that the Vygar has, maybe a Crown would have been a bit more beneficial to the Kassadin.
Do you think a Fimbulwinter would have been better on Kassadin here?
As far as I'm aware, no. Because similarly to Falsen, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a tank player. I don't know how the item works, but I believe how it works is you have to get a hard CC onto someone to get the shield, and when your only hard CC is going to be
it's slowing as well.
Oh, so okay, then
so it's E-procs it.
Maybe
just because I feel like he needs a way to survive all of the damage from VG, and it's not like he's the only damage source on Dingalings, right? He has 3 other champions that will do a lot of damage. I don't know. I feel like he needs some sort of survivability at this point. He has the stopwatch in his inventory now, so he'll have that. But, you know, if you're playing scaling Cassidon, I see Fimbulwinter a lot just because you have such high base damage. It matters more if they can't kill you.
Yeah, I do think maybe Fimbulwinter would have been better with the Everfrost this game.
Terry
Additionally,
just wrote in chat, slowing is only for melee. I'd just like you to know that Cassidon is a melee champion.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you are going to opt that route, you maybe have to pick up the Conquer as opposed to the Fleet, and then you would argue how scot-free does he get out of his laning phase without Fleet. But I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it looks like they're just going to concede this soul. 10 seconds, and Dingalings is nowhere in sight. I'll hover around the Baron area, but Terra is smartly staying on the top side, making sure there's vision on that Baron so they can't be rushed down. Granted, I don't think Dingalings does it very fast at all. So it looks like it's just going to be a free soul given over to VG Grit here with a 2.5k lead. So not a big lead in the gold department, but just looking at all the shutdowns across the board, looking at the item spikes and Hextech Soul now, you feel like VG is just in such a driver's seat.
Yeah, this Hextech Soul is going to be real annoying. More baby cages coming out, more thresh hooks, more flays, more lanterns, more taunts. You know, there's so many things that Dingalings is going to have to start playing around now. That we haven't even touched on the Soul. The Soul is, it might not be like broken, but it's at least annoying for sure.
I mean, it's definitely worse. And again, for melees, like this slow is just going to make it so much easier for Snowfall to kite, for Falston to kite away. And, you know, Trundle can only rock in a straight line. Viego has a bit more graciousness with that. But Leona, again, she can't do too much. Falston fishing for these picks right now. And now this is where the macro game comes in. VG has to find a way to either force a fight, start Baron, and make him walk into. As I say that, Falston is going to absolutely one-shot Love Sorry Coding, so that does not apply anymore. So I guess it's as simple as that. Just wait for them to walk into you, put a cage in, and win the game.
It's also, Aphelios does kind of have some cracked-ass guns for this Baron. So
yeah, Baron is going to be absolutely melted here. Dingalings is going to trade over that mid tower and get some extra gold from the objective bounty. But I mean, if you're Dingalings here, it's just so hard to actually play the game. You can't run into them. Cassidon, level 15, he's getting there. I mean, at this point, I guess they were saying, you know, just let Cassidon get 15 and then we'll try to take a fight around Elder, potentially. But VG getting this Baron with this Vigor, they could probably just siege the entire base.
yeah, I think this is probably the most crucial one we've had so far. The Cassidon is not level 16. Grit are sold up, they're baroned up. Their Vigar now has the Anathema Chains and a Fimbulwinter. He's cracked AF. This Aphelios is pretty cracked with his 2 items. He's nigh unkillable and even has the stopwatch. This is it. I believe that VG really do need to just group up and push down a lane and take at least one inhibitor. I don't think they can play for tier 2s. I don't think they're in a spot for to play for these tier 2s because Cassidon is almost out. Did he just get it? Was that scary? No,
that was 15. He's getting there. He's getting there. But Vigor is at 1,000 AP now. So it's a big funny number where he just one-shots everyone regardless. So
tank items, by the way.
Yeah, it's Vigor is very balanced. I think he also has that Ruby Crystal in there going into whatever he's building last, whether it be that Stone Plate or something else. So not much that Dingalings can do as they're just going to walk down this mid lane and Falston is throwing cage down for fun at this point. Batmoose Spike will try to match Terra in the top lane, but not much he could do either at this point. That Trundle pick didn't really work out so much. It felt like he never really lane bullied Terra besides maybe getting a 15 CS lead. And Inhibitor is going to go down as they move up into the top lane.
Yeah, and Cassidon is still not level 16, so even if Dingalings were to take a Hallelujah fight, they aren't really that strong, but I believe this is kind of where they have to. I think if the second inhibitor goes down, VG kind of just gets to casually end the game whenever they feel like it. So I do think Cassidon needs to be here in the base and try to be fighting under this turret, but they are just not in the... Oh!
Here comes the curtain call out from Worcestershire, going to not really do much damage. Batmoose Mike is literally taking more damage from Snowfall auto-attacking him. Cassidon is not here. He is back from the base. He's still level 15, though. He really doesn't want to fight. VG is going to be taking down his inhibitor now. Shen is in the bot lane, so, you know, the comms have to be Dingalings. You know, they want to fight, but Shen's going to ult in. What can you do? There comes the flash in from Crepescore. Almost one-shot Snowfall with a massive shield coming out from Terra. There gets Crepescore getting nearly one-shot, rooted up 1 HP. Big Cage coming out. Is going down to 1 HP. Relativistic is going to be able to flash out, and somehow all of Dingalings is alive, but they need to get back to base and heal because all of VG is still alive, and they're going straight for the base. There comes the ulti from Relativistic, flashed away from Izzo to prevent any reset. First first tower is going to go down. Big pillar coming out, slows down Terra. There comes the cage onto 2, but not any damage as a follow-up. Terra flashes onto Crepescore. Crepescore is 16, so he has those ulti resets now coming out. Big cage again from False. These cages are providing so much zone control in C-Seek. Crepescore now has to back out, flash forward from Snowfall. The heal comes out from Rochester try to survive. Crepescore takes down Izzo, but the Nexus is practically open at this point. Can Crepescore win the game right here? He is getting so many kills. Falson is trying to do his best. Terra is back in the fight, and Crepescore is finally going to go down. It's just Worcestershire versus False. I think False was out of mana that whole time and just autoing the inhibitors and the Nexus as he takes down game 1 for VG Grit.
And you saw it. The Cassidy went from 0-4 to 3-5, picking up several bounties in that fight. You saw just how scary that level 16 Cassidy could have been right at the end of the game. Unfortunately, he was just a little bit too late. If he had level 16 under that top lane inhibitor turret, I think there's at least more than a chance that I want there to be of them being able to take a fight, absolutely wipe VG off the map, and potentially make a comeback in that game. You know, if they're only down one inhibitor, they still have a shot. No Baron, no Eldrop for a couple of minutes. They do just kind of get to exist and farm that mid lane. But like I said, just a little bit too late. Wasn't able to get the level 16.
Yeah, an absolute slaughter at the end there. That fight went on for a very, very long time as VG wasn't quite able to finish off many people until Falson was able to finally start getting these last hits in. Great game over from VG. Final score 18-10 in kills. Falson with 16 KP of the 18 kills. 100% the MVP in that game, also with the most damage by a lot. So well played to VG going up 1-0, but Dingalings are still in it. They still have showed they had a lot of swagger in them and a lot of playmaking, so we'll have to see if they can come back in game 2. We will be taking a quick break while we prepare, but don't go anywhere. We're coming back soon with game 2 of VG Grit versus Dingalings. All right, welcome back, everyone, into Game 2 of the night. Dingalings versus Virtue Gaming Grit. I am number 2 Ginger, joined by Chapanya Fan after a great win from Virtue Gaming Grit, highlighted by Falson's Vigar performance. Chapanya Fan, what are you expecting to change in this draft?
I think the one thing that is a really obvious change for me is that Dingalings need to not pick Cassidy. Falson is a control mage player. And if you ask any control mage player, they'll sit there, they'll vibe, they'll get to those team fights, and they'll like playing the game. And the thing about Cassidy is that, much as the control mage's worst nightmare, you have to get to those Cassidy levels to be able to do that. And that's not all that possible in a coordinated environment. And so Falson, he kind of got to just sit there, do Vigar things, he gets some AP, and then just kill people. Like I said, he was probably having a blast. So I do think that if you give, obviously, Dingalings probably won't pick Cassidy blue side, as they'll most likely be blind picking their mid laner. But I would like to see them pick something a bit more active in the mid lane. It doesn't have to be an assassin. It could be a control mage, but just don't let Falson play PvE for 20 minutes.
Yep, so we did see some bans change up for Dingalings. They are taking away that Shen and Lee Sin from Virtue Gaming Grit, whereas Dingalings is going to take the Hecarim immediately. I believe Hecarim was banned from VG Game 1, or sorry, Dingalings actually banned the Hecarim, so they are very convinced that Hecarim is a B1 or banned champion, apparently. We'll have to see if that actually plays out that way, as Hecarim can be one of those champions of the lower elos that just absolutely spam games and can win the games if not respected properly. VG Grit answering with Izzo's signature champion, Jarvan the 4th, and Leona locked in as well.
Yeah, and we see again the prio on this Leona really early when the premier counter pick in Thresh is up. But there are also some other champions that have at least a good enough time in the Leona that you don't mind playing it. Now, obviously, this is a bit of a skill check. Do Dingalings play the Thresh? Look at their OP. The answer would be probably not.
Please. Top?
All right, okay. I'm going to bite my tongue and say I believe this is a pretty okay matchup for Janna's support. That being said, and I hate saying this is a flex.
It's a flex. It's 100% a flex. This is a good pick. I like this pick. Janna top, OP. Janna, if you're a very good Janna player, it's also very, very good into Leona. You're correct. You just have to be good at Janna. The problem with Janna is that, at least at support, she's always been a very good champion. Her kit just takes a very long time to master. Victor also going to be locked in here from Dingalings as a blind pick for their mid lane to keep the flex open. So we'll see if VG decides to take a mid laner to answer that. The classic pick would be Corki here. You could also take an Ahri into this. I don't know if VG have practiced it or if Falson has any comfort on it. But we'll have to see if maybe they just take an ADC instead. Ooh.
So the Ziggs.
Okay.
It is a control mage. We get the control mage versus control mage mid, potentially. Ziggs can also be flexed to the bottom lane. And as far as I'm aware, Snowfall does like playing Ziggs at least a little bit, which isn't something often you hear from an AD carry. So this Ziggs is also a flex, just like the Janna pairs well with the Jarvan, obviously. If someone like that Victor or that Janna without their flash gets put into the Jarvan baby cage, Ziggs is going to toss a bomb on him, and the center bomb for Ziggs hurts like hell. So there is a bit of synergy there with the Ziggs, also the Solar Flare, and just Leona CC in general. Plus Glacial Augment means it's really easy for Ziggs to go get his skill shots and just pump out a ton of damage.
Yeah.
But there's still no Corki prio. And I'm going to be honest with you, those Corki nerfs, do they kind of suck? A little bit. It means you can't pick Corki and get every dragon in the game for free, quite literally. It's still Corki though. Like, you can go right click, you can go Porky, as LS calls it, and just shoot missiles at people, which I think is funny. And the champion is just not strong, and I'm surprised that we've now gone 2 games, and there's not a single Corki pick or Corki ban.
Yeah, the problem is the champ is a bit boring for a lot of people, but Dingalings pick Cassidy. That champion's boring too. Just play the OP one. It's not hard. But yeah, I mean, Virtue Gaming Grit. I was gonna say they might have a setup here for a Galio Camille pick with the Jarvan and the Ziggs combo, but Camille is being covered as a ban for Dingalings. I think that would be kind of nuts. You know, you are for the Camille here and you are 5 the Galio, and your team fight is just kind of perma disgusting. But a nice ban from Dingalings to prevent that situation from coming. The only change here in bans is that VG Grit decided to take out the Caitlyn. as it is generally a decent matchup into Ziggs if they want to put that bot lane, since Kate can match the Ziggs in range very, very nicely. There is the Ahri hover from Virtue Gaming Grit, and that's going to be locked in into the Victor matchup. A nice new pick coming into the meta this patch.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't understand why you don't just pick it on R3, because Dingalings had the option to ban it, and I mean, obviously they didn't. They're banning Set for some reason, which is weird to me. Maybe Terra's just a cracked Set player. I don't know. But even if he was, I'd want him to pick Set. Put that Janna top lane. Jeez, I don't think Set would do very well. And that Set really wants to team fight. Doesn't want to split push. But so here, this is the money pick.
Yeah. I mean,
where's the Janna going?
I agree with you. They also, remember, they're killing the Ziggs flux now. You know Ziggs is going ADC. If you take top, you don't know Ziggs is going mid or ADC.
I think it's a lot more important here for Grit. I don't think they should ever be picking top here. I think it's important that they get the matchup they want, or at least they know where the Janna is going, so they know what they should be picking top lane.
That's true too.
Oh. The traditional pick into the Janna.
Oh, it's Janna support.
Okay.
Surprised. Okay. Maybe they big brain it and they put Janna top and Trundle support.
I was gonna say it is Leona support. Trundle has a good enough time into Leona where I'm sure you wouldn't mind playing.
Well, so if you're risking that Janna top, what do you pick?
I think they had to just. I don't think they can pick a tank. I think picking a tank here is really grief. I think they need to pick Jax, Tryndamere, maybe Graves, Akshan.
Okay.
I'm a prophet, baby.
Why was this not picked last game, by the way?
I'm gonna be honest with you, not a damn clue. But here, I'm. Again, listen. This is NA solo queue. Lorlo talking to you. He says that Akshan is the best pick into the Janna because he can take the tower pretty fast. He's okay at pushing. He's okay at grouping, and his W is Cancer. We don't talk about it. Ability's broken. That being said, we now have the full comps. We still really don't know what everything's going to shake out for Dingalings here.
We should assume it's likely Trundle's top just because of last game, but I would like to see Janna top.
Show me the Janna, baby. Come on.
I'll let you know as they do the client draft in a few seconds. But another pick I just want to throw by you is, do you think it's bad for them just pick, assuming Janna top, a heavy scaler like Nasus or Kale? Granted, they probably won't do well into Trundle, but if it is, they are committing to the Janna top, a lot of people are thinking that's not bad.
I mean, I would say it's definitely possible. I haven't played a top. First off, I'm not a top laner, so I don't know what I would want to play into this. But I do think that logically, thinking about it, you could argue a hard scaler. Maybe not Nasus. I don't think Nasus is a very competitively viable champion at the moment. But I do think that Kale potentially does have a place. The thing that I would say about those like really hard scaling champions is that there is a window for them to get punished. Whereas if you were to pick a strong split pushing champion like Akshan, maybe Jackson, maybe Tryndamere, those champions do come online earlier than the Kale or the Nasus potentially would, and it leaves them less room to be punished, and they also, again, have multiple reasons for picking them. Jack's not so much, but things like Akshan can team fight pretty well, can split push pretty well, can make picks pretty well. But even if you take something like hyper focus like Jax is going to beat down a tower in 2 seconds. Whereas I guess you could argue Nasus would too if he's able to get onto a tower. But again, I don't think if you're picking one of those hyper scaling champions, you want to play a bit less of a risky play style, because if they fall behind, then they're kind of out of the game in a sense. Whereas the Janna's never out of the game because she has no money anyway. So I don't know. I do think I agree that the Akshan is probably the best pick just because he is so much of a jack of all trades. But we'll see. We'll see how this game plays out. This could all be for nothing. It's probably just Janna support, and that would make me sad. But
yeah. I mean, just run it. Let's assume it's on top and just run this down lane by lane. I mean, I think I just have to give the early game edge to so hard to VG. Like, I feel like Akshan's going to bully Trundle. I feel like Ahri's going to have a very good time into the Victor. And I can't really imagine Janna Kaisa ever, doing anything until Leona Ziggs. Ziggs just going to perma out range. And Leona doesn't ever really have to go in at that point. Ziggs is just going to bully the hell out of Kaisa. Hacker might have a lot of good gank angles because his lanes aren't going to have prio, but in competitive, that means so much less than it does in solo queue because Jarvan could just be there for the counter ganks.
I mean, let's also talk about it. So Victor's level 1 through 3 is going to have the edge into Ahri, the corrupting potion, plus the Aerie, plus the Q shield, whereas Ahri's going to have to be relying on hitting both ways of the Q, as well as all of the W fires, and maybe even a charm to really win those trades. But once level 4 rolls around, Ari's going to have a much easier time just instigating the wave, basically, and then she's able to do whatever she wants because she's Ari, and the champion is nuts broken right now. Kaisa Janna is a giga horrible lane, and if you're Hecarim, you don't want to gank that ever.
I do have confirmation it is Trundle top.
Yeah, okay. Janna Kaisa is just horrible. You don't want to gank that. What are they going to do? The Kaisa is going to dive in, but Janna is going to be 5 miles the other direction, doing Jack Diddley squat. Victor, like I said, he's just going to be under his turret until he gets his E upgrade, and even then, Ari can still contest the wave just as easy. It's like, now they're just both instigating the wave, so it's not like Victor can, walk free. If he eats Charm, he's going to get chunked out. He might even potentially die if the Ari's fed enough, or the Jarvan's around, and it's really on the Hecarim. The Hecarim needs to try to find some plays to make, which I do think is potentially possible on the top side. The Akshan is not very tanky, and if he ever wastes his swing, a simple Trundle Pillar will stop it instantly, and then he's almost dead to rights. But he needs to accelerate himself, get his Chem Tank, get his Mer Mana, and then become a menace with the Janna shields. And I think if that doesn't happen, Grit are just going to just slowly choke them out, hopefully. Yeah. And again, they have this big wombo, the Jarvan Cataclysm into the Solar Flare into the Mega Inferno Bomb. Somebody's going to die, and if Victor doesn't have Flash, or Zanya's, and Janna, she's not going to have a Zanya. If Janna doesn't have Flash, she's just dead. I mean, honestly, she has 200 HP. She'll probably die to Cataclysm anyway. But these champions, if they can combat anything, they're just dead. There's so much damage coming out from Grit from so far away. Akshan ulti 2, yeah, can be blocked by everything under the sun. But still. And it also, we haven't even talked about, because there's been so little Akshan and competitive, Homie could just have a pop-off team fight, and it might be 4 for 4, but then he revives his entire team. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I think this game does kind of come out to the same thing as game 1, where it's going to seem a bit unplayable for Dingalings. You're just kind of outranged Akshan and Ziggs, and then Ari's going to be fishing for these charms, and all she has to do is really hit one on a squishy target, and they're just kind of dead. So it's going to be a bit rough for the side of Dingalings. I think Akshan also fits in super well, considering they have double AP, so Akshan being the primary AD source feels super, super good for that champion. But we are going to take a quick break as the game is going to get started soon. We're just waiting for the spectator delay, so go grab a drink, sit back, get ready for a spicy banger. Hoping for a VG2-0 win, but I also would not be disappointed with a game 3, as I do love casting these fun games. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a VG Grit versus Dingalings game 2. All right, welcome back everyone into game 2 of the night. Dingalings versus VG Grit. Dingalings on blue side, VG Grit on red side as both teams spread out into their standard 5-point. I am number 2 Ginger, joined by Chapania fan on the night. Now, Rob, what are we looking at for this game 2 early game? It should be a little bit different with a nice different array of champions.
So yeah, as you said, yeah, it is going to be a little bit different. Relativistic on this Hecarim needs to be getting ahead, as we touched on a bit in Champ Select. I think the easiest way to do this is to try to camp the Akshan, because every Akshan is a filthy feeder. I think it is on Love's Coding and Worcestershire to just survive in this bot lane and scale to their items. Janna with 2 items is pretty cracked. Kaisa, we don't know if she's going to be going the AP or the AD build. I'm going to assume AP because that's what everybody and their mother does. And I think Crown is a pretty solid item this game. As we see a bit of trading early on, but as much as I wish there were no griefers in this game, there are a couple griefers. Griefers. First off, why does Crepe Score have first strike against an Ahri? It's a bit confusing to me because Ahri's weakest point in this lane is going to be levels 1 through 3, where a Corrupting Potion, a Corrupting Wish Victor should just bully her out, but instead he has his first strike. It's not going to make you a ton of money. He is a range champion. He's going to be making what? He got 11 gold, so he got 16 gold there, which is honestly more than I thought. But still, it's also not going to scale too well. Not that Ares scales exceptionally well either, but at least Ares is going to be getting a ton of consistent damage out in the lane and in the team fights. The other person I think is griefing is over on the side of EG Grit, just joshing. Why does he have Aftershock? You are playing Leona into a Trundle. If he ever presses WQ on somebody and Trundle presses R, not only is Trundle going to be unkillable, but the Leona is going to be as tanky as his gosh darn Janna.
Good points to make here, Chapani. I think there are definitely some griefers in this game. I would also like to point out that Falson has Ignite in this game against Crepe Score, so he is going to be looking for that extra lethal, and Crepe Score is going to have to be a bit respectful of that. But if he's not able to find any good angles, Crepe Score is going to have that tempo advantage with TP, and Snowfall as well, taking the TP on the Ziggs, pretty standard, but also something to point out and something they can use to their advantage, as we are seeing a pause, and it looks like Wi-Fi is going to be the issue. So we're going to switch over to myself and Chapani fans' beautiful faces while we wait for that pause to resolve itself. As you can see, I am joined by the static picture of Chapani fan, who does not have a web camera, unfortunately, but I'm here.
Listen, I'm poor, man, okay? Doing too much. I don't have the money to be spending on a webcam.
Yeah, okay, bro. You're bragging about your $300 mic that broke.
Listen, we all make mistakes.
Indeed, we do, anyway. Just like Crepe Score and Joshing did.
Hey, that is fair. I saw it in the chat. I have to agree. Who uses Wi-Fi in 2022? Come on, my guy. But so yeah, I don't know. Like I said, talking about the game, I think a lot of this game is going to be on Hecarim and how ahead of the Jarvan that Hecarim can get, because Hecarim really doesn't scale like a monster. Definitely isn't a weenie in the late game either, whereas J4 is a bit of a weenie in the late game. And so if J4 is not able to either stop the Hecarim from impacting a map or make similar moves across the map from the Hecarim, this game could look pretty dire pretty quickly. But I do think that VG kind of just has the advantage as okay.
Immediate unpause into Izzo looking for the flash play onto Crepe Score. We are getting the typical pause bug where it's going to buffer for a few seconds and then resume. If we continue to get that throughout for the next few minutes, I will give us another pause and let that resync up. But we should be all set. I did give it about 15 seconds. But yeah, Izzo looking for Crepe Score. That's an early flash bone, which is very, very valuable since Falson has that Ignite for lethal potential.
Yeah, and also when you're laning against an Ahri, you do really want your flash, because once she hits 6, she's going to be looking, especially with that Ignite. Should be a pretty easy repeat. And Crepe Score, he's going to have to play extremely respectfully for the next 5 or so minutes.
Yeah, we'll see if Izzo can really punish off top of that. One of the things that really makes the difference between these teams and the best teams and the worst teams is, timing these flashes and punishing them. Jarvan's one of those champions that can really punish flashes blown, and we'll have to see. As I said, that Izzo is hunting here as the flash charm is going to miss. Relativistic is in the area, does not have his E charge up yet, and there it goes. Falson does not have flash, so he should just go down here to Relativistic. VG Izzo's looking for the trade on to Crepe score, but I don't think he's going to find it. He flag and drags out to get both, so he's able to get out himself, but a bit of an anxious play from Falson, and Izzo there leads to the first blood for Dingalings.
I don't even want to say poor jungle tracking. I just want to say that I think Falson's maybe just a bit AFK in the brain. We were 4 minutes into the game when that was happening. Hecarim's either he should be well passed with his Krugs or with his Gromp. He should be either on Crab or looking to try to find a gank or a counter gank. And for him to go for the charm flash is, I'm not gonna say fine, because that Victor was kind of, he was far back, but obviously no flash. Jarvan's early damage is pretty high, but once the flash or the charm goes wide, you just that's it. It's done. The play's over, and it's fine. Like, a bit ambitious, but like you fished for it, you looked, and then like I said, the play's gone. He should just given it up, and he continues to walk forward into the bush. He basically face checked the Hecarim, and can't say I'm surprised that he went down right there.
Yeah, so now Falson has the same issue that Crepe Score has, is that he has no flash against a very, very heavy ganker like Hecarim, as Love's Sorry Coding is going to get absolutely one-tapped walking into a bush that Just Joshing was waiting for with the Zenith Blade. Gets the nice CC change. Love's Sorry Coding could not react with the flash, blew the heal, and that is a kill, unfortunately going over to Joshing instead of Snowfall.
Yeah, and if we kind of talked about it a bit earlier, that Janna is a pretty solid matchup into the Leona. The caveat to that is that you can't get hit by the Zenith Blade. And so obviously, Janna, 200 HP, basically, she's going to get popped. No surprise, when you get touched by a Zenith Blade, you do just kind of pass away after that. Still, kill went over to Just Joshing as opposed to Snowfall. Obviously not the greatest, but getting the extra tempo as we see.
Here comes the gank man from Relativistic. Nice charm cancel from Falson to stop the dash. Relativistic is getting counter ganked here by Izzo. Izzo looking for the finish on Relativistic. Is not going to have the damage for Creep Score. Is 6. He pops the storm on to Izzo. And there's the flash tornado from Love Sorry Coding to get the kill onto Izzo. Falson going down to 1 HP as well. Just Joshing going in for a 1v3 situation just to make sure Falson can walk out. He is Leona, so he has about the tankiness of a level 16 Malphite at level 4, so no worries about dying there. And it is going to end up with Love Sorry Coding making up the play from Dingalings.
Yeah, is able to lead Izzo to his death with the Flash Tornado. But we saw Ziggs with the TP able to get the lost chapter, walked back to lane, and now Ziggs, he can just kind of exist. He's going to throw bombs at the wave. They're going to be insta-gibbed. He's infinite mana because lost chapter should stay a really balanced item. We do see Kaisa pick up the Serrated Dirk and the Tier. Now, this is not an immediate sign that she's going to be going the AP build, but as far as I'm aware, a lot of times if you're going AD Kaisa build, you tend to skip out on the Tier and the Serrated Dirk. So AP Kaisa, like I said, I expected that. Crown's a good item in this game, so you don't get actually dunked by Cataclysm plus Mega Inferno Bomb. Also gives you the option to build Zanios, which is another safety tool into those engage tools from VG Grit. But it's important to note that the consistent damage isn't going to be super great from the Kaisa, but we see this Victor is just, he's able to, I don't think Falson ever backed after that mid play, which is weird to me because he had no HP and no mana. So now it's kind of forced to take a really, really, really bad recall.
Yeah, this is not ideal for Falson backed out of lane with no TP here in a frozen lane state. He is up 10 CS or so not the end of the world, but Victor is accelerated. Remember, he already has that E upgrade going since he got those 2 KPs, so not feeling too good for the Ahri here. He is at level 6, though, with that ultimate available. So maybe we'll see a play come out from Falson, start moving around the map a bit.
Yeah, and it is also important to note, as much as Ahri's mana costs are overall lower, with the little mini rework she had.
Ooh, all in coming from Batmoo's Mike here. Gets the pillar down, but does not fully cancel the rope there from Terra. His ultimate coming down from Relativistic. Instantly flashed by Terra. Izzo has the ultimate, but a nice knockout from Relativistic to get out of that cage. It is a very nice Hecarim mechanic. If you're not aware, if you hit a minion or a champion, you do get knocked back with that E, and that goes through that Trundle ultimate, which is pretty nice to see. Well played.
Yeah, mechanically well played from Relativistic there to get out of the Cataclysm. We see just Joshing spending a lot of time in this mid lane now that Ziggs has that Lost Chapter, just kind of hovering, making sure Falson is okay, able to get out of this. And it's important to note that Falson is pretty safe with his ultimate now. Ideally, you would like to be using it forward, but still, it's important to note that the Ahri is pretty safe. Still like to be taking lasers like that, though. One thing I did want to point out that as much as Ahri's mana costs are lower on average, her Q mana cost is 100 mana at rank 5, which is extremely pricey and doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of the wave clear as opposed to, say, rank 2 Q. It's going to take 2 Qs either way. So I would have liked to see Falson maybe go for a W max in this game. That being said, Q is going to be doing a lot more damage if you're able to hit 2 or more people with the Q. So maybe he's looking to try to take some 3v3, 4v4 skirmishes earlier on in the game. But we shall see.
Yeah, objective trades coming out here for both teams. VG taking up Rift Herald while Dingalings taking down that first dragon. So overall, the gold advantage is going to go to VG when that turret plates are taken down, but the objective with the dragons are going to be starting on the snowball for Dingalings. As we've been looking a lot at this top side, we do see Terra finally starting to get a significant CS lead in this top lane. It's been even for a while, which kind of indicates that Terra has not been abusing the Akshan to the full extent. But now with this lead coming up, we should see Terra starting to pressure the tower a lot more, and maybe Izzo looking to drop the Rift Herald up there.
Yeah, and I do also wonder what mythic the Akshan is going to go for. He ends up picking up his plated steel caps as well as an extra longsword. This extra longsword could be being built towards the shield bow.
Oh, here comes the solar flare out from Just Jousting, and a nice knockback from Snowfall puts Love Story Coding right in the middle of the fray. Snowfall finishing up with the Mega Inferno Bomb into a last Q. I believe VG Izzo is here as well for the counter gank. He's going to ulti right onto Worcestershire, who is able to get out with his own ultimate. VG Izzo jumps back in with 1 HP. That is not what you want to do, my friend. You are out of the fight and trades a kill back when it was not absolutely necessary to do so. So a 1-for-1 in the end. And well played by Snowfall overall in the mechanics there.
Yeah, and we saw the Jenna. She got popped. That when you're an enchanter, especially one as squishy as Jenna, you just really can't afford to be playing that far forward. Well played to Worcestershire to get out of the Cataclysm from the Jarvan, using the Killer Instinct to just over the wall. Izzo making a bit of an oopsie with the flag and drag back towards the enemies. 1 HP. We also saw some trading from Crepe Score onto Falson in the mid lane, and he's really kind of starting to get into this Victor pick now with the E upgrade. He can take a lot more aggressive trades. He can push out the wave more, while the Ahri is really struggling in these trades. She's down almost 20 CS at this point.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that Just Joshing really isn't moving out of bot lane much. I think the VG really can play towards this Akshan a lot more. You have Rift Herald, you have the Leona with that Swifty boots ready to move, but there's just no punishment, it seems, to having this range versus melee matchup. As Ziggs isn't even ahead in CS, but Leona is bot side for a majority of the game at this point. And what are you picking the Leona for with the Ziggs? The Ziggs is meant to stay in this lane alone and hold it down. So I'm hoping that changes a bit as we move more into the mid game, and VG Izzo is going to drop that Rift Herald into the mid lane just to grab some of the initial plates and hopefully break that down later. So not super efficient usage, but that gold is going to feel nice.
Yeah, but it is just sad that it's going to be going over to Falson on the Ahri. Obviously, it's not a bad thing, but you're right. They should be playing for this Akshan a lot more, and that includes dropping, I believe you should be dropping the Rift Herald towards the top side. But as we see, Ahri, she presses her funny R button, is able to just use a Spirit Dash away, and the Trundle gank was pretty minor, and now he is using his TP before the 14-minute mark, meaning when TPs get unleashed, is going to be down. But we see the Trundle is down 40 CS in the top lane. Now, I'm going to be honest, not too surprised, but
yeah,
so he's definitely... He's going to be falling behind, and he's going to have a hard time finding some use. He's also going to be going for the Divine Sunder, which was, I believe, I'm not going to say nerfed, but changed this patch.
Oh, there comes the Zenith Blade out from Just Joshing into the Super Mega Inferno Bomb. Fall-off is coming out, but both flashes were burned from the side of Dingalings, and here is the counter gank from Relativistic, but the damage is not there right now. Worcestershire was able to ulti away, but both laners just don't have enough damage. The Kaisa is just not able to output the DPS, as here comes Crepescore in the backline, was able to move first. Falson flashes forward for the charm, is not going to land. Snowfall is in a very awkward position right now. W misses from Worcestershire. He doesn't have the damage to finish him off. He does get the kill in the end, but he trades back his own life. Now Love Sorry Coding in a very awkward position, as that squishy Janna, Falsa, and Izzo are going to take him down. A 3-for-2 trade going over to the side of VG Grit's favor.
Yeah, and we saw Leona, like I called her griefer for not taking Glacial Augment, and while I still believe that's true, we see when the Trundle's not there, she is massively tanky. That being said, I do think maybe the Freeze Rays would have potentially came in a bit more clutch there. But we see that the bot lane for the side of Dingalings is pretty squishy, and if they are able to land this big burst combo, that things can still get pretty scary. And well played to them. They had all of their cooldowns up. They were able to get out relatively unscathed.
Batmoose might go in super low there. Relativistic is here. I don't know if he has the damage to take down Terra, who still has Flash. Remember, Relativistic does not have his ultimate from that earlier bot play, so he's going to push Terra out, as we are starting to see that Batmoose Mike is really taking these trades very hard under tower. Terra stepping forward, thinking about taking the 2v1, thinks wiser of it, and Batmoose Mike is going to be able to push out this lane and get a reset and saved a little bit from the bullying, as Izzo will gladly take the dragon in his trade.
Yeah, I believe that this is the first dragon for Grit this game. It is the Cloud Soul, or the Cloud Dragon, so we'll be having an Infernal Rift. Not the poggiest of souls. Hextech is definitely the poggiest, definitely the most fun. Well, you're never going to, talk bad about an Infernal Soul. The Infernal map opens up a lot of gank paths for the side of VG, with this Ahri, with this Jarvan, with this Akshan. So many more ways for them to walk and bypass wards and try to get into these flanks. Dinglings is going to have to be on top of their game, trying to keep track of everybody on the side of VG Grit. And also just a really powerful soul. The extra damage stats going on to this Akshan and the Ziggs. The later the game goes, the scarier Ziggs is going to be, and the higher potential he just has to absolutely 1-deke someone with that Mega Inferno Bomb.
Yeah, for Dingalings, Crepescore on this Victor is insanely strong right now. He has the crown completed, already has a needlessly large rod in his inventory, and 5 stacks on that Dark Seal, compared to Falzern doesn't even have his mythic item yet. Going for that Everfrost as well, so keep in mind, it's a very cheap mythic item, so he's just not sitting on a lot of gold. Granted, he already has the Sork Shoes finished. Izzo looking to contest this Rift Herald was already taken by the side of Dingalings. It must be some sort of client bug, as we're not getting any notifications about that. Here comes the ultimate over the wall from Relativistic, looking for just Joshing, and Falson is going to find it, but immediately gets stumped off and counter. Falson looking for the cleanup. Izzo gets the huge Cataclysm, but here comes Worcestershire looking for play. Falson goes forward with his last dash. Not super advisable, as he's going to go into 4 and die. Terra looking for the ultimate finish, is not going to find it. Here comes the bombs over the wall as well, but now Terra's in a very awkward situation. Nice flash to the Blast Bone to be able to survive, but a huge team fight win for the side of Dingalings, along with picking up Rift Herald for themselves.
And the Kaisa's so close to going down there, man. That was so close to being pretty okay for the side of Grid. I guess in the grand scheme of things, it is only a 2-for-1. Paulson did make an oopsie and dash the wrong way. Maybe he was feeling himself like he wasn't having an awful game.
He was definitely feeling himself.
Which is a bit unlucky, but he is able to pick up his Everfrost off that play. And so while he's definitely not...
cannon!
Yeah, it didn't happen. You didn't see it. As much as Falson is not playing like Faker this game, he does have his Everfrost now. He will find a way to be useful, setting up charms into Everfrost, and hopefully using the extra utility from that to set people up to just get Mega. You hear me talking about it a lot, but Mega Inferno Bomb is just so much damage. There's so many ways, so much CC for Grit to set up for that Mega Inferno Bomb, and it is really important, which is also why...
The camera panned away as Falson Spirit rushed forward here, but Terra is caught into blue side's jungle. That is Dingaling's territory right now. You cannot be there, good sir. So that is the first death of the game for Terra on that Akshan, as Snowfall is showing the power of Ziggs there, is going to get that mid tower down. Falson down here in a 1v2 situation. It looks like Grit is going to rotate down and maybe catch out Worcestershire and Love Sorry Coding here, as they realize that they are getting collapsed on. Falson doesn't have the Spirit Rush to make something happen. Mega Inferno Bomb coming out. Love Sorry Coding is just going to tank that one up. He does not care. And good retreat there from Dingalings to make sure they do not take anything in vain, and they're going to take the top tower in return.
Yeah, solid map awareness. A big oopsie from Terra, messing around in the jungle where he is not welcome.
Uh-oh, Crepescore getting engaged on by Joshing here. Gonna get locked down. Hits all of the CC. Snowfall doing as much damage as he possibly can. Another stun coming out by Joshing. And Snowfall is gonna get traded on. One auto's gonna do it, but does not finish him off. He got the level up from the kill. I believe the last auto also didn't kill. Such a close play from Crepescore there. If he had the ultimate, you feel like he just 1v2s that.
Yeah, but a big shutdown going over to Ziggs. It's definitely who you want your money to be on right now.
Yeah, I would agree. Snowfall is a good man to put your money on in-game and out, as VG Izzo looking for the dive onto left side of Cody and gets flashed on, but drops the Cataclysm onto his face. Worcestershire takes the charm in the face through his ultimate, looking for the finish on VG Izzo, but there's Falson with a very awkward flash over from Worcestershire. Gonna go down anyway. Terra is here as well to match the TP from Batmoose Mike. It is a disaster for Dingalings. They go down 3-0 as VG takes over the game.
Well played to fight to VG, and we see just how scrappy Artie can make things, and why she pairs so well with a jungler like Jarvan, who's really trying to get in there, make space, and bring a really chaotic fight. Especially champions that make terrain make fights a lot harder to navigate. Jarvan is obviously no exception, even though his terrain is not as freeform, something like a Nivea wall or Tunnel Pillar, obviously. Still, misclicks could be potentially happening from the Cataclysm. Also, again, just caging someone up makes it really easy to hit those skill shots, as we saw. Kai'So's basically a sitting duck, eating the charm through her ulti. She also wasted her flash and then just died to the red smite of Izzo. So a lot of important cooldowns blown there by the side of Dingalings, and just a well-played fight to the side of VG Grit.
Yeah, looking really good for VG as they're able to start snowballing the game a little bit. They have a 1.3k gold lead, taking the dragon for themselves, as Worcestershire is going to be checking on this dragon. Almost ran into Terra there with half HP. That would have been a very bad time for that Kai'Sa, as it looks like he is going the AP build this game, has that blasting one in his inventory. So he will be sending out some nuclear missiles with his W to match the Ziggs poke. Not a bad decision in my opinion. I feel like they are just outranged and they will need that assistance, as, again, Creepscore is going to be this massive threat for Dingalings in this game. He has a lot of farm. He has a lot of gold on those 2 item spikes already. I'm curious if he goes Zanya's third or if he goes for something more aggressive.
Yeah, I would have to say I think the Zanya's pickup is definitely a bit of a wave. Crown is really a strong item, obviously, but there's a couple ways for Crown to get popped. Akshan could ulti it. Akshan ulti kind of sucks. I would use it to pop Crown if I had to, if it meant getting a kill. You could walk into a straight Ziggs bomb or a Ziggs satchel, or maybe just you get hit by a projectile from Spirit Rush or Foxfire.
Oh, he's going Banshees.
I don't agree with Banshees. I think Banshees is pretty troll. It gets popped just like Crown does. You definitely want Zanya's to be able to... If you're stuck in a Cataclysm and you can't get out, you can at least Zanya's a Mega Inferno Bomb, whereas if you're in a Cataclysm...
Ooh, Terra does so much damage. If he popped that Q, he might have went for the all-in with the Izzo hovering there, but both teams laying low.
Yeah, I like the idea, trying to find a pick there, though. Short... Ooh.
Oh, here comes the fight. Izzo getting caught out a bit by Relativistic. Relativistic gonna look for the ulti over the wall. Does not get the fear. Izzo nearly blows up Worcestershire with Terra right behind him. He does so much extra damage. This Akshan is so strong, as Terra is gonna take the 1v1 with Relativistic. Izzo jumps over into the Trundle with the Janna right there. Terra is able to take down that Hecarim, but it's a small shutdown going over to the Trundle now, so he's getting a little beefy. Terra is navigating his way out right now, trying to find out where to go. Is able to avoid Love Story Coning, popping the ulti, as well as Joshing and Snowfall are there to bail him out. Moose Mike is in a awkward position himself, so bit of a weird positioning moment there. Falson did burn the Spirit Lush, it looks like, fighting Crepescore, and Crepescore still has the ultimate himself, so he's going to be able to pressure Falson out of this turret and take it for himself. Oh, Charm misses. He has no more Spirit Rushes, and he has to flash away. A big misplay from Falson. That's a super big cooldown now. As you know, these fights are going well for VG, but the gold is even, and Crepescore is massive.
And it's pretty clear that Falson is not extremely comfortable on this Ahri pick. I don't blame him.
Cosmic second. No.
Yeah, I was just about to touch on. He goes for the Cosmic Drive second. Now, if there are any legit Korea stands in chat, you will know that he is a pretty solid fan of the Leandries into Cosmic Drive, but he also is pretty big on the Lucidity boots and just trying to play for your cooldowns, spread the Leandries burn, and try to get as many Spirit Rush charges off in a fight as possible. as with the Leandri's burn, the time to get a Spirit Rush charge goes from 3 seconds to 7. But this Cosmic Drive second with the Everfrost, I don't know how much I agree with it. You don't get a ton of value out of the Cosmic Drive. You're kind of playing for that old Charm Bot style.
Terra, a little bit overextended here. Is going to flash away from Relativistic. Relativistic is going to drop the ultimate to try to take down Terra. Crepe Score is running through, and that's a shutdown. Going on to, again, that Victor.
Yeah, not who you want the shutdown to be going to if you're a VG fan.
Love Story coding face checking, but she does not have any right face checking. Is going to drop the Cataclysm to finish off that kill. Snowfall is actually going to get it with his Leandri's. A nice pickup there. Snowfall going very, very low as Worcestershire going for the play. Flashes over the wall and actually takes him down. A nice play from Worcestershire. Folson is here with Spirit Forward. Lands the charm, lands the kill. Going down for Folson. Gets the reset on his Spirit Rush. Batmoose Spike is going to have to flash away in a 1v3 situation. Folson going forward, but misses the point blank charm. That's a huge miss. That probably would have been a kill. Crepe Score flashing forward, but does he have the range? It doesn't look like it. He gets a speed up from his Q, gets charmed, but I don't think he cares. He's walking forward. Relativistic is here as well, does not have the ultimate to follow forward. Batmoose Mike going a bit low, but is going forward. Folson has a good amount of damage here. Is going to take down Batmoose Mike with the charm and a Q. A nice play, but Crepe Score is going to take down just Joshing in trade. This Victor is absolutely unstoppable. 3 items, Merc Treads, and 8 stacks on his Dark Steel. He is the 1v9 machine, and Dingalings is sacrificing all of their lives for him.
Yeah, and that's how they gotta be playing the game. This Victor, he is not strong. I do have to say that I am a bit disappointed in Izzo going for the Sterix Gauge second item.
Oh no, chat, don't look.
That's about a waste of 3,200 gold, as we see right here. Also, Terra going for the Rage Blade second item, I don't believe is a normal Akshan thing. So we just see a lot of silly itemization.
Worcestershire though getting a bit caught here from Folson. Folson getting a nice pick, gets the charm. And this is the Everfrost, but the charm still lands. Terra's going to take that down. A huge pickup coming out from Fiji that should be able to let them secure this dragon.
Yeah, I mean, solid play. Third dragon on their way to Infernal Soul, as we talked about, really good. But there's a lot of silly mistakes being made by VG this game that you don't really want to see.
Izzo going aggressive on Crepe Score. Crepe Score has no flash here, so he is caught in a bit of a rock and hard place. Dodges the Solar, but gets hit by the Zenith Blade. Charmed into the kill. He does not have the Zanya, so he could not stasis any of that. And that's, as you said, that Banshee's Veil did not have too much value there. Double kill coming out from Folson. Has now Snowfall's getting caught a bit in the mid lane. Relativistic looking for the kill. Snowfall does not have flash. This Hecarim is a bit too strong for Snowfall to deal with, so they do trade one back in the end, possibly preventing a Baron rush, but a big shutdown on the Victor going over to the side of VG.
Yeah, Snowfall yelling team diff because his entire team left him, and he just got bullied by a horse. Not really surprised, a bit unlucky. That being said, he should still be pretty happy with that, as his team was able to chase down Crepe Score on the Victor and get that big shutdown. Now, here's the thing. He has the Banshees. It's a useless item. He doesn't have Zanyas. Would Zanyas have saved him there? No, absolutely not. He was 4 people, no flash, and stuck in a Cataclysm. Would I have made fun of him though? No, he would have had my blessings for buying the right item, but instead he has just a worthless spell shield that did quite literally nothing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think the MR matters that much either.
Yeah, I mean, the MR really maybe just prevent getting one shot by Ari, but if you're getting hit by Ari Charm anyway, you're probably out of position, as Terra getting a bit caught out here from Relativistic. Does not have the ultimate up yet, but Crepe Score is here to do the damage. Gets that laser, gets that ultimate, and that Terra nearly trading Relativistic there with the kiting, but Crepe Score is going to take that kill, and another kill on the Victor, who is looks like he's going into the Rabadons. If he's able to complete that before maybe the Dragon Soul fight, it's going to be a big problem for VG to deal with.
I'm going to sound like a bit of an asshole, as I normally do in these casts, but man, could you imagine if Terra had a not worthless item in that Rage Blade, and instead maybe like an LDR or something? That fight might have gone a bit different. He might have actually killed the Hecarim.
Yeah, well, he didn't, and that's life, as Izzo also has Sterix, and Nikari also has Cosmic Drive, so... Yeah, we're not going to LS this one, as there's just a lot of mistakes across the board in both of our opinions, but it's okay. These guys are playing, these guys are fighting, they're making it entertaining for us, and that's what matters for us, right? Stomps are no fun to cast, so that's boring. Get out of here, Rob. But
hang on, there's no way that Trundle has a Bork and the Hecarim is also
okay. It's buffed right? Bork. It has to be OP.
I know it's buffed Bork, but come on.
He clearly is doing a lot this game, as I don't think I've seen him on the map for the past 3 minutes. But he's working, if he's... Bork definitely really good, because it's not like Hullbreaker is more useful if you're split pushing, and it's not like Death Dance is more useful if you're team fighting. But what do I know?
We do see the Hecarim building the Sterix gauge.
Uh-oh.
Bit sad.
Batmoose might getting a bit caught out here. Does not have the flash. So is going to have to eat that Trundle Pillar as he's just eating Izzo inside his own Cataclysm, looking for the 1v2. Terra trying to get the damage down. Is getting Batmoose Mike pretty low, but one more chop should do it. And that's Izzo going down and running out as now it looks like Dingalings are starting up the Baron. Terra trying to finish off Batmoose Mike, but that is a fast Trundle as Love's Coding is actually going to go down inside the Baron pit. Terra did end up taking down Batmoose Mike. Terra has the TP to come in here if he wants to. He's not TPing now right inside the pick, but there's no Dragon of this relativistic. Does not get the smite. Instead, Crepe Score is going to take it down. Folson fighting on to that relativistic, but he has the Sterix as well for some reason and gets the shield. Is actually going to save his life, but Terra is right there. So in the end, it does not. Shut down over to Terra. Looks like the only two surviving with Baron are Crepe Score and Worcestershire, and the absolute chaos across the board.
All right, so I take it back. Bork's broken. He just manned up in the Cataclysm and fought him to the death. We do see relativistic. He does have the Sterix. It makes me sad. That being said, he does have the Chem Tank. The Chem Tank. So he does have at least a bit of HP. So the shield is not teeny weeny. The Kaisa has finished her crown after that Baron take, but we saw in the pit that Ziggs was doing so much
Ziggs
damage.
has Horizon Focus.
Fellas,
they really just like don't want us to have fun.
You're
right?
really killing me.
Ziggs has Horizon Focus. I mean, Hecarim also bet Sterix for some reason. I mean, the good thing is that Victor has completed it. Oh my god, and Janna went Moonstone. Isn't Shirley just better in competitive? Whatever, I'm not even going that far into it. But Victor picked up his Rabadons at least. Ari also has her Rabadons, and both carriers have stopwatches. So they're doing it okay.
Well, we have a dragon in 15 seconds, so this seems to be... We have a slight gold lead, about 1,000 gold lead for VG Grit, which at this point in the game means nothing. But we do have a ton of completed items here, so this should be the banger fight.
TP coming out from Batmoose Mike here. VG has to get some zone control here. Snowball has to get poking. If they get hard engage on and let Crepe Square get close enough to do the damage, they're going to get absolutely wiped. Really awkward positioning right now for VG. They kind of are trying to wait for Snowfall to poke, but remember at the same time, Worcestershire is getting some big poke. There goes Batmoose Mike. Relativistic on the flank onto the bat line. Snowfall gets absolutely blown up, and here comes Crepe Square into the fight, looking to get the damage. Falson is trying to do what he can. Joshing is in the back line as Janna push him out. Terra also in a pretty non-ideal situation. Joshing is going to go down. Terra has to fly away from his teammates as he cannot win that fight. What a great flank by Relativistic to start that fight and make sure the engage comes through before they got poked out.
And this is where things start to look pretty bad. Dingalings is baroned up, only on 2 members, but gonna be honest with you, it's all you need. They stop the soul from coming through, they win the team fight, and now we're just gonna go make some more bank. That 1,000 gold we talked about for Grit is now turning around and going into Dingalings' favor. And I'm gonna be honest with you.
Ooh, Charm comes out on Crepe Score. Relativistic might be looking for the engage here is a 3v3. There goes the engage from Izzo, but Worcestershire is on the flank. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Vici Izzo dives in, but I don't think that's ideal into the Victor. Worcestershire is actually going to go down to Terra. Terra doing so much work in this backline that Immortal Shield pops, and now Crepe Score is 1v5, but he actually gets a kill. He dodges the charm. Nice flash away. Falson going down to 1 HP. Joshing is going to get the Zenith Blade. Does Snowfall have enough damage to clean up? He's going to get stunned from that grab field. Does not get the knockup. Joshing is doing as much as he sees as he can. Dodges the last Zenith Blade, but here comes the ultimate from Terra. It should be enough damage to take him down. It is just Joshing survives at 1 HP. And a big overextension from Dingalings, feeling themselves a little bit too much, brings an ace over to VG Grit.
Damn, you guys are really killing me this game, man, I swear. Well played, though. They punish the overextension. Terra gets a lot of money. He brings back the Jarvan from the dead. Jarvan can go farm his camps. Now, here's the thing. We see the... Okay, no. All right, VG do make the smart play. They're going to go stop. They're just going to go steal away the camps from the side of Dingalings.
That's not fun.
That's not fun. Come on, where's I want the banger.
Also, Ari still has Yellow Ward at 32 minutes in the game.
Who needs Red Trinket, man?
I mean, Trundle has it too, but it's more like it's a bigger deal on mid than dude, like we need to start like taking count of this. I think.
Well, okay. So how many mistakes are we at? We're at Banshees or Victor. Both junglers have Sterix. So that's 2-3. Rageblade second on Akshan. That's 4. Bork on Trundle. That's 5. Yellow Ward on Ari is 6. Cosmic Drive is, I'm going to call it like 6.5 because if a challenger player does it, it has to be at least decent.
Horizon Focus on Zig 7.
7.5.
Yeah.
Aftershock Leona is 8.5.
Oh, First Strike Victor 9.5.
Okay.
We're getting there. We're working out.
We're almost double digits,
this
baby.
is good. This is good. This is what we want to see out of these games, honestly. This is what I'm here for.
It is important to know as much as Sterix is a mistake. Once Hecarim gets his Dead Man's Plate, it is going to have a little bit of value. How much value? I don't know. I don't know the math. I did watch the Freak patch notes rundown, but it all escaped my memory as math is boring. Important things to note, Ari has finished up the Zanyas, no Void Staff in sight. Who needs Void Staff? It's not like they have MR or anything. Randuin's second on the Leona. I don't know how much of a vibe that is.
And let's go, baby. Randuin second on Leona. Can we add that one in?
I mean, I think it's a mistake. Where's the There's 2 link items. I'm pretty sure at least one of those has to be good this game. No Wardstone either for either support.
They're not. The Joshing's not 13 yet. And Love Sorry Coding just popped 13.
That's fair. Okay, fair enough. I better see that in the Jan inventory in the next 5 minutes, or else I'm going to lose my marbles. The good things to note about here, the Kaisa has finished her Crown and has finished her Zanyas, so she is no longer susceptible to the Cataclysm Mega Inferno Bomb Wombo combo.
Yeah, I mean, both teams at this point, they're just kind of waiting around for objectives to make something happen. The setup is, like, kind of not synergized. You can tell, like, both teams are just kind of, like, running around and not actually, like, doing anything. VG has some decent vision setup, but there's a ward sneaked in there from Dingalings right on that Baron pit. For some reason, VG just doesn't have a pink ward on Baron pit. They have it behind Baron hit pit. Protecting who when they have a whole line of wards in front of it? I don't know. They actually have two pink wards in very non-ideal spots behind the Baron. There's one ahead of the Baron, so now they have 3 pink wards in a triangle basically on Baron. So really efficient warding out here from VG, as we can see, with Dragon spawning in 35 seconds. It is VG Soul, so I assume all of that vision will now go to waste and be moved in the bot side.
And we see the Ziggs picked up his Zanyas. He hasn't upgraded his tier, thank God. But still no Void Staff in sight for either of the main magic damage carries for VG. Seems...
Ziggs just does, like, no damage, no?
Well, I mean, so, like, we talked about it a bit, but the Horizon focus is...
Falson just Spirit Rushed over and looked for a pick and failed. He has no Spirit Rush now for this Baron, or for this Dragon.
That's pretty bad, all things considered. Ari is pretty much a pretty monster team fighter with that Spirit Rush now. But,
yeah, there it goes. Now it's on CD, so it's a pretty big cooldown.
Yeah. Can VG fuck around... excuse me.
Big turn on the Batman's Mike. Batman's Mike actually just a flash away. Cataclysm comes out, but Batman's Mike wants that fight versus Izzo. He's going to do a lot of damage to him. Takes him down into the GA. Terra's going to pick him up. Now it's a front-to-back fight. Falson going very well. Megan Infernabon does a lot of damage. Crepus scores on a huge flank, though. Can he win this fight? Terra is on him. Is he going to be able to do enough damage? Izzo's going to look for the flag and drag over. Snowfall is also 1 HP. Crepus score has his flash up in a few seconds. Might look for the flash play over. Right now, it's looking pretty good for VG as they have the advantage here. Terra is so strong on this Action 11 and 3 running around in these fights. Going to look to take out Love Sword. Flashes forward and cancels his auto attacks. I don't think it matters though. He's just way too strong and he revives both Falson and just Joshing. There's the power of that Action coming through as Crepscore just walks forward and one-shots Izzo for fun, I guess. Now Terra's in the backline, going to be seen. I don't think Crepscore could take the fight versus Terra without his ultimate. Snowball's going to start up this Infernal Dragon without his jungler, but it looks like there's no contest to be seen from the side of Dingalings. These fights are just so chaotic. I felt like that started so randomly.
Yeah, that was a pretty random fight, all things considered. The Mega Inferno Bomb just to spite the dragon. I vibe with that. It's a low enough cooldown. But yeah, we saw how big the Akshan is right now. As much as I'll flame the Rage Blade for being a bad second item, picking up Rage Blade at this point in the game after you've gotten some actual damage is not too bad. And once he finishes that Vamp Scepter into a Bloodthirster, it's obviously going to scale a bit better with the extra crit. And he is just kind of putting out an insane amount of damage. Acting as the main AD carry for VG in this game, as he is going to pick up his Bloodthirster. He is now fully 6-slotted at 38 minutes, into the game. The Ahri has finally picked up the Blighted Jewel, building towards that Void Staff. Now she needs to just make sure she has her Spirit Rush for a team fight so she can be a bit impactful. Victor himself has picked up his Void Staff, so he is 6 slotted still with that Banshee's Veil. Hopefully he gets rid of that at some point.
Oh, another +1. Janna picked up Forbidden Idol instead of trying to save for that Wardstone.
All right, so 10.5. Well, so yeah, it's just a solid team fight from VG. That Victor poke is still pretty nuts. They do pick up the soul now, so the Zig is going to actually. He does decent damage. It's just not insane, like one shot Mega Inferno Bomb. Oh my goodness, gone wrong damage. But still, this soul is going to be picking up a decent little bit of the slack as we see a Baron
by Relativistic. But VG has a pink ward on it. They know what's happening. I guess. They just want to force a fight here. They're going to take a lot of damage. Worcestershire is already down to 1 HP. Mega Inferno Bomb might come out just to finish him off. They're still doing Baron when they're 1 HP. I don't know what's going on here. Both Terra and Batmoose Mike are TPing in now, so both TPs are down. Now Batmoose Mike is going to say, let's keep doing Baron. Here comes the Spirit Rush forward with the Charm. CC'd properly with the Solar Flare, and now it's going to be Batmoose Mike instantly getting blown up. A flash from Crepe Scorpion, that's just going to lead into his death as he flashed into the wall. Now Relativistic going in. He says, it's my turn to die, boys. Goes in right after Worcestershire and Lovestory Coding decide they do not want to go to their death either, and VG should be looking to go for the end here.
Yeah, you have a Ziggs. Ziggs will click towers for a lot of damage. This should be the game. I don't see a way how Kai'Sa, Janna... Yeah, like, look at that. I don't see a way Kai'Sa, Janna... That's a bit of a waste of a satchel. That's okay, though. I don't see a way that Kai'Sa, Janna are able to hold this. This should be game. This is an Infernal Soul. They have the extra stats. As much as there were a ton of easily avoided mistakes in this game from both teams, VG do just out-team fight Dingalings where it matters. They're able to pick up the dub 2-0. Well played, all things considered.
Yeah, what an absolute banger that game was. You feel like Dingalings had that game, had a chance that whole way, and then they just kind of decided to not. Bit unfortunate at the ending fight to get caught. The gold was pretty much dead even that entire game until that last fight. And in game 1, the gold was very close too, so a very well-fought game from Dingalings. Although they went down 0-2, I don't think they should be very, disappointed with their performance, and I don't think VG should be very happy with their performance either. I think both teams have a lot to learn from this game. Thankfully, it's only week 1 of Runeterra Academy Junior, so they will have plenty of time to develop for playoffs, assuming both teams have a good chance of making it. But again, a huge GG out to Dingalings, 2-0 for VG, taking down the dub.
Yeah, game 1, we saw the life that they had towards the very end. That Cassidy almost came up huge. They would pick up 3 kills. If they lived that fight and Cassidy was able to get those items out, that was about to look like a scary game for VG. They might not have been able to close it out. Game 2, again, a lot of unforced errors, I guess is the best way to put it. A lot of really easy to fix mistakes that they were making. And obviously, Dingalings also is not without easy to fix mistakes. But it was a banger of a game. Well played. The Akshan pick came up clutch. He got a couple of decent revives in. It's also just got insanely strong to the point where he was the main menace in those team fights. Combine that with some solid Ziggs poke. The couple of times that Dingalings tried to start up the Baron, VG were able to hang on and just find those good team fights. And what you saw basically every time they won those explosive team fights, they were getting something out of it, which is nice to see. They weren't just immediately like falling back or retreating to their jungle. The only team fight where they won handedly, where they didn't get anything off of it, was the 5-0 on their half of the map, which is excusable because by the time they got across the map, everybody on the side of Dingalings was spawning up. So as much as, again, easy mistakes to fix, there were also some bright sides from both teams in these games.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Dingalings for their game tonight. Big shout out to Virtua Gaming Grit for their first win with their brand new roster for the 2022 Winter Split. Thank you everyone in chat for watching tonight. We peaked at over 30 viewers tonight, which is awesome to see. Thank you for everyone from Dingalings that came to watch and support your team as well. It's been awesome to cast. Great game to start out the season. VG Grit will be playing mainly on default times. That is Sunday at 8 for Runeterra Academy Junior. But keep an eye on our Twitter just in case games get rescheduled. We also have 2 other teams we are actively casting. Virtua Gaming Ambition, that myself and Chapani Pan are a part of. We also have Virtua Gaming Unity, a brand new team to Virtua Gaming The Split that will be trying to stream all of their games competing in Aegis Defenders League. So keep an eye out on our Twitter at Virtua Gaming. Follow us on Twitch right here, and follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube as well, Virtua Gaming. thank you all for tuning in tonight. Chapani fan, do you have any parting words before we head out?
Just thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks to Dingalings and VG Grit for giving us those pretty exciting games to cast. I think both games, even though the first one maybe was a bit more VG sided than the second one, there were still some pretty banger games to watch in my opinion. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for casting with me tonight. Thank you, everyone in the chat, once again, for coming out. This has been number 2 Ginger with Chapania fan. Good night, everyone, and have a fantastic Monday tomorrow.